How we doing, guys? We made it. It's Friday, and talking about habitats all week. Lots of people doing a really great job. Um, Back in the forest habitat, I thought it would be a perfect place. Sun's not really shining like it was yesterday, um, but let's get started, huh? So we're talking a lot about habitats, and today I want to talk about maybe a couple we haven't talked about. The desert was one. We used it as comparing it with another habitat, but grasslands we haven't really talked about. High grass, and you can find things like lions there, and things like that. Um, I got a couple questions for you because I know there's a quiz coming up, and I'm hoping you're watching this before you take the quiz. Let's take a look. My barber's out of town. I gave myself a haircut. You know, this boy Michael was one of my students. And if you're listening, I remember what you told me. You told me that nothing feels better than coming out of a fresh cut from the barber shop. And let me tell you, you're so right. And I didn't do such a great job, but you know what? I feel good, and that's what matters, okay? So what is a habitat? Well, I think we all kind of know that, but let me give you two choices. And I'd like you to share your answer to this video. Just talk back to me. I'll be listening, trust me. A habitat is A, how an animal behaves, or B, where an animal lives. That's correct. Animals do behave differently, but a habitat is the home of the animal, where the animal lives. Now, this is another important question about habitats before we start talking about animals and which habitat they're from. What is the most important thing for an animal to get in their habitat? A, needs, the things they need. B, shade. I want you to think about that. What's more important for the animals to get from their habitat? What do they have to have? That is correct. The correct answer is their needs. These are things like water, food, shelter, okay? They're sleeping under the stars. We have a shelter, we have a roof over our heads, and that's kind of convenient and comfortable. But these animals, they have their body coverings, and they have, a nice place to sleep, somewhere where they're not going to get harmed and bothered by other animals. And that's a really important idea. All right, so let's get down to it. Let's match an animal with its habitat, shall we? Okay. Polar bear lives in the Arctic habitat, or a walrus lives in the desert habitat. I'll give you 5 big ones. I'm going to repeat it one more time. The polar bear lives in the Arctic habitat, or the walrus lives in the desert habitat. That's absolutely correct, yes. Polar bears live in the Arctic. They're very comfortable there. I would not be, because I like it warmer, and I don't like shivering so much. But I don't have that fur, the long hair and the short hair on my body covering, so this skin is just, I can put on jackets and scarves and hats and gloves, but I'm never really going to be that comfortable in the Arctic habitat. Okay, let's move on to the desert, shall we? We didn't talk too much about the desert, but I know you guys know lots of things about the desert, so let's get started here. Who lives in the desert? A sloth and a horse? Or lizards and snakes? Now remember, desert is a very tough place to live in. You might think that there's not a lot of plants and not a lot of animals there, and very few live there, but there's tons of things that can live there in that habitat, and tons of things that do just fine there. Give me 5 big ones. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's absolutely correct. The polar bear lives in the Arctic, and of course in the desert, they're filled with lizards and snakes. When I had a pet lizard and a pet snake, I had to buy something special at the pet shop called a heat rock. And this heat rock is basically a special rock that looks like a real rock, but it's plastic. And you plug it in, And you have to have that in the cage because that's something that those animals need. They need to be warm and they need to be comfortable, okay? If it's too cold, that they would not be able to be okay in a habitat like that. So you definitely need something nice and hot for them, and that's how they live. Cactus is a plant that lives in the desert just fine. Okay, it doesn't require lots of water, and I know that when I had a cactus home, my wife overwatered it, and that could be a problem. It doesn't need a lot of water, so that's why it's just right for the desert habitat. All right, you're doing pretty good. Let's move on, shall we? What habitat is the largest in the world? Well, we didn't really talk specifically about this, but what habitat is the largest in the world? Now, before you answer this question, I want you to think really hard about a globe, okay? A map is flat. A globe is round. It's a sphere. And a globe gives you an idea of how much land and how much water is on Earth. And that's what planet we're from. So what is the largest habitat in the world? Is it the forest or is it the ocean? And like I said, think about the globe. Do you think there's more forest area or more ocean stuff? Well, definitely the ocean habitat. And the reason is very simple. The reason is because 75% of the Earth is filled with ocean water. We can say most of the Earth has ocean water, okay? And most of that globe is blue. It's not filled with the green. There's lots of green, don't get me wrong, but 3 out of 4 of those parts are ocean water. So ocean's the biggest habitat in the whole world. That won't be on the quiz, but I think it's an important idea to know how much ocean is out there. It's a very big habitat. It's the largest in the world. All right, I think I got one more question for you. Buckle up. Why are the rainforests so important? It has something to do with the plants. Now, the 2 choices that I have are, here we go, a little spinnerooski. Why are the rainforests so important? A, the plants give us air, give us oxygen to breathe. B, the flowers are very, very pretty. So we have all these plants giving off oxygen and all these beautiful flowers. What's more important? Why is the rainforest habitat so important? With frogs and a sloth and all these other kinds of fun animals. I'm seeing some animals outside today. There's an oriole. It's a really nice bird that just popped up. He's walking on my wood pile. And I'm going to take some pictures out here because I'm going to put them up. I saw 2 different habitats from birds. Holes in the trees that they made. And I also saw 2 nests. I'm not going to go close to the nest, but I am going to take a picture of them from far away. If the mother bird smells my scent, my touch, she will not go back to that nest because she'll think she'll be in danger. So she cares so much about her baby birds, but survival is really important too. And if she smells something that someone was there, she might think that she's in a lot of danger. So that's why they wouldn't go back. Well, pretty flowers, a really, really cool idea. But let me tell you something. I need to breathe air every day. And one wonderful thing that plants do is they put oxygen into the air. So when we breathe out carbon dioxide, it's different from what we breathe in. The plants take the energy from the sun and convert that and change that into fresh oxygen. Oxygen is what we breathe. We need oxygen to live. It's one of the things. Water, food, shelter, exercise, but oxygen, air is really, really important. Guys, you did fantastic this week. Next week, I'm going to do some more backyard missions. I'm giving the basement a little bit of a rest. There'll be some basement stuff. But you know what? I think I heard some positive comments about my outdoor videos, so you know what? I'm going to go with it. Guys, everybody have a fantastic weekend. If you're celebrating any kind of special holiday this weekend, I'm just going to say enjoy that with your family, whether it's Passover or Easter or anything else. Really make the best of it. It's going to be tough, trying to meet up with relatives and family during these tough times, but definitely call people and talk to them, and even this special things on the phones that you can see face to face, and just tell these people how much you love them, you care about them. It's a really special time of year to do that. So signing off. Have a super weekend, everybody. I'll see you next week, and we're going to be talking about poetry in the LA, and we are going to be talking about some fun stuff in science too. We're moving on to some erosion stuff, natural resource stuff. And we talked about natural resources in social studies, but it's in both topics, in science and social studies. Very important part. All right, guys, enjoy. See you next time. Adios.